Hudson Yards, New York City's largest privately funded project since Rockefeller Center, is officially underway. Stephen Ross is chairman of the Related Companies, which is one of the co-developers of the site. Stephen, good morning. How long are you going to, you're eventually going to leave Related as CEO, right?
I hope not.
Never?
They'll drag me out.
They'll drag you out, really? So tell us about the project.
Well, it's a very exciting project. The project is roughly 15 million square feet, totally mixed-use project. So it's probably the largest undertaking ever in New York, maybe in this country, as one single project. And it's going to take probably 11, 12 years to do it. Yesterday, we broke ground on the first tower, which is roughly 1,700,000 square feet, where we have Coach and two other tenants. Roughly for about 80% of the building is committed, at this point. But it's really the start of really creating what I think will be the new heart of New York. You can see the shift going on there. You have $4 billion of public money being spent right around the Hudson Yards. And when you see that type of, capital investment by the government, you know that this is something that's important. It's going to happen there. And with the first extension of the subway is on over 60 years in New York.
Go all the way out to the west side, which is a big deal, too.
Pardon?
The subway line going all the way out to the
yeah,
side.
right there. I mean, it terminates right there at the site. So it really connects it to Grand Central, 2 stops away, and Penn Station. So it's right in the heart of the city. And then you have, with the High Line, we all know the impact of that. And the expansion of the Javits Center, the Hudson Boulevard that's being built. All these things coming together, and this is where people want to be today in Chelsea. I mean, we know when we go out at night and all the new restaurants and where the activity is going, it's all in that area. So I think that this will really become the new heart. It'll be kind of a shift. It's exciting because people said it wouldn't happen. And I think the vision of the Bloomberg administration they were right on target.
So city government was on your side here. I mean, I think of all the things that stand in the way of projects like this, whether it's regulatory issues or zoning issues or labor problems or credit not being available or the fiscal cliff. It's happening. So none of those things stood in your way. They make it more difficult?
Well, I mean, look at doing a job this size in these times is certainly difficult.
Took a while.
I mean, right.
How long have you been working on it?
Well, we were selected in, actually, I think 2008, 2007, just before the recession. And so it took time, and people were skeptical at that time about it happening because they didn't know if the subway would actually be built. Here it'll open in 2014. And it'll be built before any of the tenants are there, which, doesn't usually happen in these jobs. But it really happened because New York really worked together. It really shows when the city wants to do something. You can't do a project of this size with having really the city behind you and working together. And it really shows what New Yorkers can do when they do work together and what they can accomplish. And I think the Bloomberg administration has really done that.
I mean, the one good thing about it is it's an infrastructure sort of partnership with government, but it's infrastructure that you might actually use instead of like a high-speed rail between, I don't know, St. Louis and
right. It wasn't just spending money. I mean,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what worries me about this actually probably is going to make sense and make money, and it's not going to be a boondoggle.
It's needed for New York for the future. I mean, here the city is, it is growing, and there's no area that you really can grow in the city. And that's why I think that it's such an important project, because it shows New York can stay the world's greatest city.
Steve, talk to me about the overall capacity utilization equation in New York, because uptown East Side is relatively less desirable now than downtown Chelsea.
Right.
You're going to put a lot more capacity into the equation. What do we do with the office buildings up on the East Side, 3rd Avenue, that are half empty now?
Right now, I don't think the buildings are half empty. I'm in
9 West. It's more than half empty. 9 West 57.
That's because of the landlord.
God bless him.
That's different. People would love to be there. It's a great building, great views.
Yes, best view in New York.
There are other reasons why. But I think New York, the capacity in the
Solo.
In New York, it's incredible. I mean, the real estate market in New York is probably the best in the world. Owning real estate in New York, the cap rates are lower than anywhere else, maybe other than London. And it's a place where people want to be, and that's what real estate's all about.
But are we going to drive the city with retail? That seems to be the Bloomberg strategy. Put as much retail capacity on the streets and the buildings.
16 ounce or less.
Exactly.
Well, but if you talk to people in the real estate business and the retailers, New York is under-retailed. And for the amount of people and the amount of tourism that comes in there and the sales per square foot, they're higher than anywhere else in the country. So I don't think this is a need for New York for the future of New York.
Was there any problem with air rights in terms of the heights of the building?
Well, the buildings will be very high, very tall, I should say, because there's a lot of open space. This is on about 28 acres. And half of the space has to be open. It will be open with parks, creating a great iconic plaza, public art we're putting in there. I mean, the finishes and the details going to this, I don't think there'll ever be a mixed-use project quite like this. Because it's all in the hands of one developer, in building it. And we really want to do something that's great.
Stephen, you have worked very closely with the Bloomberg administration. He is in his third term now. When that's over, you're going to see a new mayor that comes in. This is a long-term project that's going to last well beyond his term. Do you worry about what happens next?
I think you always do. I mean, but I think that New York is New York. It's survived a lot. I think there's some, candidates out there that I think will be good for the city, hopefully. And people always question that, when there's uncertainty. But I think he's laid the groundwork for New York to continue to grow, and I think that's the important thing that this administration has really accomplished.
So we ask everyone about the Washington, what's going on there. I could say fiscal cliff, but I'm getting a little tired of it. But what about what's going on in Washington? Do you think about that? In the back of your mind, did it have anything to do with anything?
Yeah, don't forget, as real estate, we're just a byproduct of the economy. And there's so much uncertainty out there today, and people aren't going to make, major long-term decisions so they know what's really going on. So I think it drives everything today, what's going on in Washington, and with this fiscal cliff, and what the impact will be of it.
Well, that's an important point. How's the project funded? Reduced funding for the development.
Well, I mean, in today's times, that's one of the big challenges, was really getting the construction loans, and you certainly don't get them to the same percentage of cost that you would typically get them, so it requires more equity, and piecing together the banks to put together a loan of the size, needed for this. Probably our greatest challenge will be, because we're looking to build, this is only 1,700,000 square feet. We have, in the first phase, 6.5 million. Where's the rest of the capacity to come from for the construction loans that we're going to need?
So the banks were the first source.
Yeah, but we're looking at some other sources going forward that are kind of unconventional. Yeah. You have to think outside the box in order to do a job like this today.
What kind of unconventional sources?
Well, you have a lot of these public REITs, and they're looking for greater yields. So it's the whole paradigm of how you do construction financing, I think, is changing. Hopefully it goes back to where it was before, because it makes more sense. But you got to think outside the box. We had that same issue with Time Warner Center when we built that.
Building off the Warren Buffett op-ed for a moment here, was there ever a moment when you were debating doing this that you worried either about how you were going to, what tax rate you were going to pay, either personally on your ordinary income tax rates or any capital gains tax rates that you may be subject to? Was there ever a moment where you said this is less attractive today or tomorrow than it might be today?
No, not from that standpoint. You're developing real estate. There's certain benefits in doing that, and if you're successful, I don't mind paying taxes, and certainly we'd like to always, pay as little as we have to, but at this standpoint, it was really the demand, supply demand, and what was good for New York, and kind of transforming it. You get into real estate, sure, everybody, you get in any business, you want to be successful, but here you're making an impact, and that's really what drives.
Would you rather raise marginal rates or get rid of the mortgage deduction?
Raise marginal rates.
What about the mortgage deduction on second homes?
It doesn't exist today, so, I don't think that's going to have an impact.
Because you don't have a second home.
I don't have a first home.
What is the mortgage deduction? You think that would really affect housing overall?
Well, I think it'll be helpful, certainly. It'll be very detrimental if they do eliminate that.
But you could do it so it doesn't affect. You could make it progressive.
But I'm more concerned about the state and city tax, eliminating the state and city tax deduction. That's going to have a bigger impact on the cities and really how the United States, really how we do business, I think.
All right, Steve, no Dolphins questions. I thought Dolphins, you lost the first, how many games did you lose?
Well, we've lost 7 games.
Yeah, but you won a few good games, too.
We've won some good games, but, you know, at the end of the day, mathematically we're in the playoffs, but, you know, you're in the business to win. And, you know, you don't like being under, 5-7 isn't exactly what.
Have you talked to Woody? Woody's coming.
Well, Woody is one guy who'll make me feel better, I guess.
New York is a lousy place if you're not winning.
To stink?
Any place is a lousy place to be when you're not winning, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
In January, I'd rather be losing in Miami than in New York.
Well, there you go.
That's because you don't own the team.
Stephen, thank you very much.